Hey guys, it's BlockchainBrad, and today I'm very excited to talk to someone who's very hard to get on this channel or anywhere really. His name is Fabio Canesin. Fabio, thank you so much for coming on this channel today.
No, yeah. Repeating 5 minutes ago, Brad, thank you for the service you do to the community. Hard to get is, yeah, we try to be accessible. So if people try to get me, they usually do.
Really?
Yeah, I do have a delay, but it's...
Well, we appreciate your time, honestly, Fabio. We know how busy you are. I think that's more the point. See, the heavens are speaking, saying how important you are from the lighting. But what's important, Fabio, is that you are here now, and you are the co-founder of the City of Zion. You're also the co-founder of the Neon Exchange, and that's the primary focus of this interview today. So thank you again for your time. And guys, just so that you know, Fabio is quite impressive in terms of his credentials. He has a research and engineering background. He comes from both a lot of study he's done in both the bachelor and in the master's sort of level, and he's done that in engineering at Rio de Janeiro and also at Santa Catarina. He's also worked as a research engineer. He's done a lot of collaborative work with Shell, focusing on metaphysics, modeling, and more complex stuff like petrophysics. And he's done some work on geomechanics as well, and the list goes on. So Fabio, it's really impressive. You're clearly a very smart man, come from very complex background of engineering. So that puts you in...
You surprised me. You really did your research.
Well, what's interesting is that's all put you in good stead for something like NEX. And obviously, you're one of the two key people who initiated this project. I'm sure Hongfei Da was very impressed that you did so. But let's find out a bit more about what it actually is, Fabio. So what, in a nutshell, if you could tell an audience who perhaps doesn't know anything about NEX, what is it?
So NEX itself is the first product of a company that we call Neon Exchange. So it's a homonymous company. So NEX is a decentralized protocol and platform. So I would say it's an internal product for this company, which we build on top of it a platform. This platform has many products. So imagine Next like Google, right? Google is a company and it's also a service. But Google itself has many products on top of the Google platform. So Next will be a platform for the company, and one of those products will be a decentralized exchange, will be a payment service system, will be some wallet features, will be extension, will be ways to interact. So as you probably see on DevCon, I try to talk to people about NEX to see NEX as this ecosystem around trading. So what NEX envisions is to be this company that makes trading crypto assets easy.
Okay.
And to achieve that, we are doing a decentralized exchange, we are doing a payment service creation, and so on and so forth.
I see. So within the scope of a much larger, entity called the City of Zion, you then have this focus of, trade and of a platform designed for trade, which is essentially the component of NEX, the Neon Exchange.
Yeah, no. So Neon Exchange is a company. So City of Zion is a foundation which exists to foster the development of the smart economy.
Right.
So this is something that is actually good to talk.
Yes, I think so, because
quickly.
a lot of people think that one is linked to the other directly.
No. So it is linked because of history and the way thing is. So me and Luciano, which is one of the co-founders of City of Zion and NEX, wanted to do an exchange, so a platform for exchanges. And we started to research the platforms. This was about 1 year ago. And we found there was not many places to do it. Right? There was Ethereum, there was something weird called Ainshares, there was NM, and actually that is it. And there was some weird scripting in Bitcoin.
I see.
All the other platforms, they didn't have a product, so we couldn't do anything. So we started to research the platforms and found that Ainshares had some really interesting features. that would make this exchange platform really powerful. Then I went to engage on the development community, and there was none. So we said, okay, so we need to first bootstrap this community, then we can do this thing. So then we created CL Zion.
I see.
And yeah, so it's like Next comes before CL Zion, so it's kind of funny.
That's amazing. I never would have guessed that.
But we met we met Ethan, we met Tom.
I'm going to talk about the team later.
Yeah, and these guys are amazing. So we invited them to this project that was before. We wanted to push Neo further to then build this platform on top of it. And I'm a guy from open source. I really believe in open source, in the sharing economy. So we saw that Neo needed this development power on the open source part. So we started Seed of Zion first.
Right.
And as I try to say, so Seed of Zion, it grew really fast, and now it's a foundation. It has a console. We are establishing a legal entity in Isle of Man, so it's a real thing. It's the real deal.
It certainly
it's not
is.
Just, yeah, no, it's because I saw like a couple of days ago someone comparing this to a book club.
Right.
So it's not, yeah. So it's not like a book club. It's a real foundation with a real console. So we will use all these assets will be used to be redistributed to this foundation.
Right.
So all these people contributing to Seed of Zion every week, they post what contributions they made, and we reward these people. So yeah, it's a way to give back for the development.
I see. So essentially, Neo's funding, they supported indirectly the City of Zion, but certainly directly the NEX project.
Yeah. So NEX project is a subgroup of the founders of City of Zion founded NEX, and NEX itself as a company and as a product also has a investment from the Neo Council.
Well, if we could go back to the title as well, Fabio. So if we look at specifically what it says on the website, it explains that you're a platform for complex decentralization, cryptographic trade, and payment service creation. So that's a very complicated thing that clearly has a few components to it. So let's unpack that with the three words of high volume, or three phrases of high volume, payment service, and complex trade. Can you tell us a little bit about those 3 points and why they're so important?
Yeah, so 99% of the people who is in crypto right now, they are investing, not using the apps, right? So when you are investing, you usually jump across exchanges, and the thing you are looking for is liquidity, right? People want to trade, and they want to trade now. And they want to have the price that they trade to be real reflection of the market. So the way you have this is by having liquidity, high volume. So if you look at across the landscape on decentralized exchanges today, no decentralized exchange has a high volume. And we believe that that's because they are somehow slow, and the usage of these platforms is cumbersome. It's not really intuitive. So to allow users to have this experience where they trade seamless and they have good prices, we are developing a decentralized exchange that's capable of having high volume and be really responsive. And to do so, we are introducing an off-chain matching engine. So when you are in exchange, there's two components of it. One is the custodian of your assets. It is where you transfer funds to and where you transfer funds from, right? So if you enter in a good exchange like Binance, you have the funds there, right?
Yes.
And another component is when you are trading, you put your order, and this order needs to be matched to an order from another user.
That's right.
So this matching is the matching engine who does.
Yes.
So we are maintaining all the funds part, the where you take your funds and where you keep your funds on the blockchain part, but are introducing an off-chain matching engine, which is a program, is a complex program that runs to analyze the trades that you put to match the trace that other users put.
Right, and obviously that matching engine is what sets you apart from the on-chain designs that we see, which we'll talk about later. But if we could talk about your team now, just for a moment, because one of the, I guess, the benchmarks of a quality blockchain is the quality of its team. So without going into specific detail of every single person, can you tell us again, in a broader sense, why your team is such a standout one?
Yeah, so I believe it's not just the team, is what these people has produced, right?
Right. So the evidence.
I would, yeah, it's the evidence. I wouldn't like to be like a curriculum team only. So we are a product team only. So I would like to describe these guys as that, right?
Right.
So besides the credentials, Ethan is the creator of Neon Wallet.
Yes.
So he started both Neon Wallet and Neon.js, which is a library in JavaScript that enables dApps and enable wallets. So most of the wallets, when they appeared in Neo, they used Neon.js. So even Neo Tracker, Morpheus, and all these other ones. So he's a real contributor to the ecosystem. Besides that, Ethan has founded an AI Combinator backend company before called Proxino that do JavaScript optimizations and analysis.
And that's quite impressive considering he's doing his PhD even now.
Yeah, he's doing, as I said, I'm trying not to discuss, but he's doing his PhD in Stanford.
Yeah, which is amazing.
We have Fabian, who also build amazing things. He's actually the guy who has been maintaining Reddit since the early unshared days. I'm saying like early, like 30 cents.
Yeah.
So people is really envy of Fabian.
And he's also got a PhD as well. My understanding is from Zurich.
Yeah, he has a PhD in ETH Zurich in machine learning, and he has a company called Altoida, which do augmented reality to detect early signs of Alzheimer.
I see.
And it was a really successful company. He is a CTO at that company, like Ethan was a CTO of his company also.
Right.
So, yeah, it's amazing thing.
So it goes on and on. It really does.
Yeah.
We could be here for a while. But the clear thing is, I've written a few to help you out. So we've got Luciana, who is a colleague of yours from a long time ago, did NeoScan. We've got Tom Saunders, amazing stories right through from Sam to David to Nathaniel. There's just so much experience that your team brings. I wanted to ask you more importantly, how did you form this team?
So for example, Tom created NeoPython. So he's probably the second best person to talk about dApp development in the world. Is Eric and Tom. That's it.
Yeah, and Eric is a standout in it. So it's quite amazing that you're able to find someone of that caliber. And given, as I said, you even got Carla doing your marketing, who no doubt you knew from Brazil. But generally, again, this is a standout team. There's no question. How did you find these people? How did you compile this team?
Oh, yeah. This was a craze, right? As I said, me and Luciano wanted to do this exchange and start this open source community, and these guys were there, like waiting for opportunities, let's say. And as soon as we started the development community, they jumped like heads on and started to make real contributions. I was like, holy shit, these guys are really good.
Yeah.
I need these guys on my team. So that's what actually happened.
Wow, that's amazing. So that explains why they're from around the world.
Yeah. But like, Seed of Zion really attracts good people because we have a rule that is you have to do the work first. So you need to actually trust someone that person is going to look at the work you did and really value it. So it attracts a kind of people who actually has this behavior, right? It's not people who is used to stabbing each other, because these people don't have this leap of faith.
Right. Well, we can tell you we're quite impressed already with the kind of team you've built, and no doubt co-lead. If we could go back now and talk a little bit more about the centralized exchanges, Fabio, as well, because again, that's really prominent, at the moment. We're seeing many centralized exchanges either develop and prosper, or some that have issues based on, government concerns right now with the SEC in the US. So what are the issues and all the problems you see with these centralized exchanges that you're trying to redress?
Well, so as I said before, the volume part with the off-chain matching engine, but more importantly, the usage of it is not really straightforward. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe that everyday usage from people that's not tech savvy mm-hmm. is really powerful. Is really, even in centralized exchanges, not only decentralized exchanges. Mm. It's really hard today. So we want to bring the user experience to a new level also. Right. But I would say that hacking the security issue of the funds, so most of the centralized exchanges have been hacked, but we have seen also issues in decentralized exchanges with mm-hmm. the case of Ether Delta, the DNS rebinding stuff. And I understand that people want to look at the technical side, and that's why you have the white paper, and we are going to update this white paper before the ICO. There are many development, but basically is the volume, liquidity, the ability to allow easier to use workflows. Mm-hmm. That's the things that we are solving in decentralized exchanges.
I see. Fabio, some of the things that come up, though, I thought I'd mention, is that one of the issues we see is that there's a monopolistic approach to, I guess, the blockchain in a sense, because it's ideally supposed to be decentralized. But when we see centralized exchanges happening on a decentralized model, it's almost counterintuitive. So I would argue that could be regarded as a problem in itself, and also the cost and the speed and the exposure to hacking that we're seeing with Japan recently. Yeah. So you know, are these some of the concerns you have of that model?
Yeah, sure. Of course, sure. I would say that decentralization happens by the custodian of the assets. Mm-hmm. So centralized exchanges, they are centralizing the tokens. Mm-hmm. And that's why they are like a very good target for hackers. It's a big pool of tokens. By having the decentralized exchange, the custodian on the blockchain, we put the funds back on the hand of the owners, right? Mm-hmm. So this is, of course, very important, not only for security, but for, let's say, political reasons also, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So,
but Brad, something that we strive in NEX is that normal people, everyday people, my grandma, let's say, they actually don't understand about blockchain and decentralization and so on. Mm-hmm. So we want to abstract this. So when people use NEX, they should not be needing to think about, oh, is this decentralized? Or, oh, what's the block size of this? Or what's the block height of this? Right. They just want to trade and have this experience. Mm-hmm. So this is the thing that we are aiming for.
Right. So in that sense, are you alluding to the idea that somehow having a wallet and being able to trade peer-to-peer is going to be somehow easier than doing it currently the way it is?
Yeah, of course, it's going to be much easier.
Okay, we're going to get into that in detail. But Fabio, if you could tell us a bit more about, there's a thing called the automated market maker that's a key part of your design. What is it, and why is it so important to the overall architecture?
Yeah, so we hit again the liquidity part. Mm-hmm. So liquidity in markets, not only in crypto markets, today they come mostly from algorithm trading. Mm-hmm. So high frequency and automated trading. And the way DEXs are designed today is really not used. It's really hard to have good algorithms on that because the APIs, the latents, and the features that they provide. So next, by having the off-chain matching engine, mm-hmm. and a slow settlement process that we call.
Yes.
We're going to be having APIs that enable this automated trading. So algo trading, high frequency trading will be able to happen on the DEX. And that provides a really important service, which is a high liquidity for the users.
I see. So let's talk about that in terms of on-chain and off-chain for those who may not be aware. Yours is clearly structured predominantly off-chain for the most part, except for the settlement. So can you tell us why that is so important, that distinction?
Yeah, how can I explain this? Is you have smart contracts, and smart contracts can do many things. One of the things is this implementation of the matching engine that I talked to you. Instead of having a program that runs in some computer, you can have it as a smart contract. So this would be a on-chain matching engine. So Ether Delta, for example, uses an on-chain matching engine because they have the trading in smart contracts on the blockchain.
Right.
But then you are limited to the speed of the blockchain, right? So you have these 30 seconds, 1 minute, depending on the blockchain you are operating.
Right.
And you have all these other things like finality and all these technical problems also.
Yes.
But the approach we are taking on X is that only the funds management part, so the first component is implemented in smart contracts.
Okay.
And the trading itself happens in a program. So the user, when he puts out another, he allows this program who holds a private key to do a trade on his behalf. And then another uses, when he puts another, he does the same thing. And then we have these two balances, and this matching engine uses his private key, communicates then to the blockchain in a smart contract that say these funds go to this user, these funds go to this user.
Right, exactly. So that matching engine, Fabio, is that the first, to your knowledge, in the world that's designed off-chain, specifically for decentralized exchange purposes?
Well, when we started, it was the first. Now we are seeing that many others are copying the idea, and we are flattered by that, actually.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about some of those competitors later. Actually, let's talk a bit about some of the protocols now for a moment, because clearly you're not a protocol solely. You're designed to be a very robust engine in itself that's going to drive that decentralized model. But then you have those on-chain protocols that are doing something similar right now, such as Kyber, OX, and Loopring. So how can they work with something like NEX?
Yeah, sure. So again, as I said, we want to provide the user experience, right? So behind the scenes, the user shouldn't know if we are using Kyber, 0x, or Loopring, right? Or our own stuff. So this off-chain matching engine can connect to these protocols, which are liquidity providers also. So our goal is that the off-chain matching engine connects to Loopring, connects to other protocols to source liquidity from them and enhance the usability of it. But it's going to be behind the scenes, so the user will never know about that.
I see.
Yeah.
So in that sense, given that it's behind the scenes, are there discussions being had behind the scenes with these people and with these in very important projects?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. Okay, so you're not going to tell me more?
No.
Okay, that's fine. So if we went across and now talked about a very important blockchain, obviously I know a bit about it, I'm sure you do extensively, and that is NEO. Clearly you have two advisors that are very important to your initiative, and that's obviously Eric and Da Hongfei himself. But in terms of cross-chain protocol, they have a very important one called NEOX. Is there any chance that you'll also be adopting somehow a cross-chain protocol element with NEO itself?
Yeah, so next we have its own cross-chain protocol. Using this matching engine, we already have something off-chain, and this can be a signaling server between chains.
I see.
So NEOX, so this is a technical thing, okay, but NEOX only operates on blockchains that implement the NEO virtual machine.
Yes.
So it cannot operate with Ethereum, for example, but it could operate between NEO and Ontology, or NEO and high performance blockchain, NEO and other blockchains that implement the ABI for NEO VM, right?
Within its ecosystem, essentially.
Yeah, within this ecosystem. So this is NEOX.
I see.
But we do not want to be limited to this ecosystem. We want to tap on the Ethereum ecosystem, on the EOS ecosystem, on the NEM ecosystem, on the Cardano ecosystem. And to do so, we need this this signaling server, and we're going to use the same match engine to do this management between chains also.
I see. So the potential is quite limitless, really, with how many blockchains you can essentially link with.
Yeah. So as I said in the beginning, we are building a company. And by building a company, we want to tap on this whole ecosystem.
Very impressive what you're doing already.
And the ecosystem being blockchain, not
Absolutely.
only...
not just NEO, as some people might think.
Not just NEO, but we are launching on NEO. Our settlement process runs on NEO, so NEO is very important for us. Yes,
and clearly, obviously, with the advisors, as we talked about with Eric and Hongfei, is that they're going to be benefactors as well. They're going to benefit from the prosperity of your entire ecosystem.
Yeah, sure. I think Hongfei itself and Eric, they share vision of Next that blockchain is really small yet. So we see this thing that is really big. It's really just the beginning.
Yes, absolutely.
And most of these projects, they're going to succeed. So it's not going to be a single blockchain that dominates the market.
Right.
There's going to be a whole plethora of solutions tailored for different markets and so on. So by being an exchange, right, we need to trade between these things. So it's really important to have this flexibility.
Awesome. And then in that context too, Fabio, obviously there's a very important component with compliance being such a prominent thing right now, with security and with RegTech. There's an element, obviously, of NEO called NEO ID. So how is the ID plan going to fit in with the NEX exchange in the sense of verifications?
Yeah, so compliance is very important for many things, and I would say the most important thing is to protect users. So we will comply with whatever we need to protect users. Okay? And NEO ID is a way to have identified users on the NEO blockchain. So again, by being an exchange, we cannot be limited to NEO itself. We're going to use NEO ID on NEO, let's say, but we're going to use other solutions in other blockchains also. But you need to have ID if you are trading very high volumes. If you are trading $1 billion a day, so it's better to identify you, right?
Right.
Yeah, we can't be blind that there is evil in the world, so we need to protect the users and the system from that.
I see. So in that sense, I mean, one of the concerns, the reason why I broached this is that many people don't like the idea of their data, particularly their personal data being stored anywhere, especially given the premise of decentralized models in itself. So, how is that going to be stored using this system?
Yeah, no, but Brad, it don't need to be centralized, and we don't need to own your data. So there's many solutions, and there's many products out there that do this, right? The user keeps their data, but they are able to prove who they are by sharing just proofs of their data.
Okay, so don't need to worry about it being stored somewhere.
Yeah, no. Next, don't want to own anything about the users. They just want to be sure that the user can do what they say they can.
I see. Thanks for clearing that up. So again, if we could talk a bit more about the relationship with the user and the off-chain matching engine. Are you saying that predominantly the user has the full control and they're always the one?
Yeah, the user has the full control.
Okay. So even when it comes down to deciding to actualize a transaction, can you explain that process of how a person would go about utilizing the facility of NEX? And what's the scope of the tokens that they can actualize in the exchange?
Sure. So we launched first on the NEO blockchain, so all the NEP5 tokens. So you would enter in neoexchange.org, first time user, okay? You download the NEX extension. So this is a browser extension that allows you to interact with dApps.
Right.
Think like MetaMask, because again, NEX is decentralized, so it's a dApp. So using this extension on neon.exchange.org, you would have a first wallet-like feature. One of these tabs will be investments. Then you go in investments. There is the trading platform there. And that's it. You choose a token, you put a trade, that's it.
Okay, so let's talk about that in the sense of matching, because just so that people understand exactly how that works, it's quite complex computationally what you've achieved, and yet you make it sound like it's so simple. But to be able to match the value in the fiat to fiat, how complex has that been?
To fiat,
in terms of the fiat value to associate token to token.
Fiat value. So the way you trade actually is not on fiat, is on ratios. So you put your order, you are exchanging 2 NEO for 10 gas, let's say. Then you are putting 2/10. So this ratio is what goes on the matching engine. But talking about the fiat side on NEX, so fiat is clear off-chain, right? Is government made, right. Is central bank issued. So you have to talk to someone outside blockchain. And the way we did that is we have these small APIs on the extension, and they can talk with integrators locally. So in every country, we're going to have partners or people launching our service, which is going to be open source. And by using the extension, people can onboard and can put fiat on and can sell tokens off.
That's huge, Fabio. That's huge. Yeah. So let me just stop you there, and we'll talk about this a bit more. So in every country that you're going to be allowing for essentially the NEX to prosper and allow people to engage with, there's going to be partners. You made that very clear. And no doubt that's banking partners or the like, because they're going to be engaging, providing fiat sources for you. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that it's difficult because every country has a different jurisdiction and different legislation.
Okay.
So the nature of the partner changes from country to country.
Right, but still, it's huge.
Is technically is not very complex, but I would say the most complex thing here is actually organizing the ecosystem and get these people together. So the way it is simply someone buying and selling NEO and gas, okay? And this person buying and selling NEO gas, they have a platform, and we are open source this platform. So imagine in Coinbase, we are open sourcing all the code for you to run your own Coinbase. So if you want to launch Coinbase in Australia, we're gonna have the open source code for you. You can run it, be a billionaire.
Right.
But the most important part of that is that in this platform that you build, you do not need to keep the tokens from the users. So again, we are not giving the custodian to the integrators. So the custodian also happens in the extension for NEX. So when the user is buying, selling tokens, he's using the extension. And this platform, it sends and receives from this extension the tokens. So it's like a decentralized Coinbase. And we are giving away this code for all these partners. And we're going to also open source it so anyone in the world can run the same code and can launch their own. We call this integrator. So we hope that the community launches many integrators across the globe.
Yeah. I see. And what sets you apart is that people can then not only exchange token to token through the matching of, as you said, it's not a fiat-based or fiat-pegged value system, but most importantly, you can actually access and utilize fiat to use this system. That's what sets you apart.
Yeah. So imagine that you are in the future, you're going to a store, and something is let's say this beautiful NEX hat here.
Nice advertising, nice plug there.
Yeah, I'm going to give this to you after this. So you want to buy this NEX hat for $10, let's say. Then you scan using your phone, and your phone has the NEX wallet. It knows ratios, right? So it would be able to say to you, so this is equivalent to 0.1 gas in your country. Do you want to do this trade with the owner of the store? Then you click OK, and that's it. You send 0.1 gas. You do not send actually $10. But to know this price, we actually need someone locally that's buying and selling gas who can tell what's the price locally. So then the owner of the store do not need to keep gas. He can, as soon as you bought it, receive this gas and liquidate to the provider.
I see. So Fabio, to do that, have you got lots of people on the ground trying to establish these relationships and these connections?
Yeah, not lots of people because it's always is a small team. But yes, we went through reach the key people. We are going to bootstrap this with a handful of partners.
Right.
But after the launch of the beta and by the end of year, then we're gonna have more partners, let's say.
Right.
But a handful of partners, let's say, we are going after remittance companies, which are companies who do cross-border payments. And usually these companies already operate in many countries. So with 4 or 5 partnerships, we can reach 40 or 50 countries.
40 or 50 countries, that's pretty impressive. So clearly your vision's, quite broad and far-reaching across the globe. If you could just explain to us a little bit more, Fabio, as well, is that trying to achieve a matching engine on-chain is quite computational heavy. So why is that, and why was it such a good solution to do what you did?
Well, so you first need to know that blockchain achieves decentralization by repetition. So to have something decentralized that does some computation, you need to reproduce this computation across the network. And reproducing something across a set of computers spread across the globe takes time, right? So they have to communicate to each other. You have the limits of the speed of light itself, right? So this is a slow process. So what we are doing is shifting this computation from this network of computers to a server, so a small set of computers that do these calculations and then broadcast the results to this network.
I see. So does it function in many ways like a database in the sense that the majority of the work's done in a closed environment?
Yeah, so the database is actually the blockchain, right? The blockchain is a distributed database. But yes, we're going to have a database also, which is kind of a buffer that we do these matchings, and this buffer go sending it to the blockchain in a slower pace, let's say.
I see. That makes a lot of sense. So I guess, you clarified once again that loopring and the like can function in sync with you. So is it possible that any of these decentralized protocols, as opposed to, are you planning on having an infinite number of them, or are there specifics you're looking for? Because obviously we know of a few. We know of loopring, we know of the Kyber, as we talked about. But is it your plan that there's only a specific number that will utilize it, or are you planning on using, again, any number of them as they arrive to the blockchain?
So any number is not something that we're going to pursue. So let's say the best ones. Right?
Okay. So
you want to use something that's compatible with your product and has a real addition to it. So yes, you're not going to use everyone, but we are not only looking at just one. But some blockchains have none, right? So then we're gonna use none there. But
yes, I see what you're saying.
Where you have it, we're gonna look for the good ones. But besides that, NEX itself will be able to do matching by itself. Okay.
I see.
So these are additional liquidity sources.
I see. Okay. So I guess the next thing I wanted to talk to you a bit about was the interface itself, because one of the things that NEX prides itself on, and I was listening to Ethan about this recently, is that the usability factor is very strong. It's one of the best features of NEX itself. So can you talk us through about what you're doing to make it so usable and so easy for people?
Yeah. So again, if you look at the founder scene, we have many experience building companies and doing products for the real world. Let's say before blockchain, we are not. Unfortunately, we are not so young anymore. And we see that there is a lack of professionalism in the field, in the sense that people is so close on their own world that they think they make some assumptions that we believe is not true. Let me be clear.
Sure.
I think it's absurd to have normal users like small investors and people who are not really tech savvy talking about block size.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. The package size for TCP/IP is 64K,
mm-hmm.
but it's actually limited by the Ethernet connections that plug the world to 100 and to 1500 bytes.
Right.
So, do you think people who code to the internet and who uses the internet knows that?
Well, I think people who use internet don't even know how the internet, architecture is designed.
Yeah, so why we are discussing blockchain sizes and things like that with these people who are users?
Right, exactly.
You see?
I think that's a fundamental point.
Yes, so we are looking so closely in our world that we lost track of it.
But so I mean, just as a disclaimer, though, I can see why, to be fair to the audience, because the majority at the moment is such a niche group trying to understand and invest in the actual tech. So there's kind of two sides to this as well. There's the user side, as we're talking about, and then there's the the investor, and that's the conundrum.
Yeah, exactly. So we are mixing the two together, and that's really not good. So Nex is taking a step back. And for the user side, we are actually trying to focus on the service that we provide.
Yep.
So when you enter in Nex, you're not going to be seeing block heights. You are not going to see hashes of transactions ID. So when you are entering your bank and you look for who you send money to, you don't see the iBank Swift code hash 250 whatever. You don't see that. That's crazy. You see Brad send 50 to Fabio. Fabio send 100 to Brad.
Right.
That's what we're gonna do in Nex.
I see.
We're gonna abstract away the technology to have a user experience about the service that we provide.
I see. And so I suppose it's much like you see with any bank, Fabio. You don't walk into a bank and understand the mechanics of the bank system. You don't need an actuary to use the bank's, bank accounts. You just need to know how to make one and, transact. And so what you're saying is that you're making it simple, making it accessible and easy for your grandmother to use it.
Yeah. So we want, as I said, that when someone uses it, if the first time he's using it, he do not need to know it runs on the blockchain. He does not need to know it is decentralized. He does not need to know what is a private key, and he does not need to know what's a hash.
I see.
So we are using these concepts, and from there designing the user experience.
I see. So if we could talk a bit about your planning with that, with regard to your graphics, with regard to the presentation, your website designs, all of that. Is that all in the works now? Have you got a team building that out?
Yeah, sure. So to achieve this vision, Nex actually needs to break down in many different products. Mm-hmm. So the first one is the extension. Mm-hmm. As I said, because this extension is actually what enables you to interact with dApps. Mm-hmm. And we're going to launch this extension in beta on March 1st.
Okay.
And the second part of that is the web interface. And this web interface is also broken down in two components. One is the funds management system. And this we are launching before end of March. And this funds management system is where you put, is like a wallet with plugs to the exchange. And inside the same web application, you have then the investing part, which the exchange is a component of. And this is coming mid-year.
I see. So everything's happening quite fast, really.
Yeah, so our team is working. So we have designers and developers, and they are divided by the products, and they are working the products in parallel. Yeah.
I see. Well, we could move across. I was planning on talking about this later, but now that we're talking about dates, let's talk about the ICO. You know, it's always an interesting one. And don't worry, you don't have to worry. I'm not going to talk to you about pre-sale and private sale. We know, you know, that you're not doing that. And on behalf of all of the people, I guess, who are fascinated by the quality of the tech, we applaud you for doing that, Fabio, because you're setting a standard for egalitarian access to the ICO. So can you tell us more about why you're making a fair, you know, ICO approach?
Yeah. So as I said, the next is two things: is the company and is the product, the Neon Exchange. So the token itself is the product, and we came from the community, right? We half of our team met each other on the community, so we wanted to give something back.
Mm-hmm.
In the way we do this is by having most of our tokens running on the public sale and limiting the amount people can invest. So a broad part of the community can have NEX tokens at a lower price.
I see. So essentially whales can't get in and try and manipulate the market.
Yeah, they can. And we made a huge effort that no one has a share big enough to manipulate the market anyway, you know.
Okay. So, but
even ourselves.
Right.
So our tokens is gonna be locked in a smart contract.
And how long will that be locked for, Fabio?
So 2 years locked,
Mm-hmm.
and there's going to be a slow release process. So every 6 months, 1% is going to be released. So even us will not have like a huge set once to trade. So
I see. And you know the number I understand is 50 million in total, and you'll be releasing half of that, the 25 million at the time of the ICO. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so in that sense, let's just go back a moment to your strategic partners. You've already established some. Who are they?
Yeah, so the biggest and most important one is Neo,
mm-hmm.
which has 15% of the tokens. Then from there, you have 10% more of the tokens, which are to strategic partners.
I see.
From these strategic partners, half of them are, let's say, funds. But usually these funds, they are group of people who invest in blockchain. And we look at for funds that actually have connections to projects that we want to collaborate on.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if one fund has a connection to a market-making enterprise, we want to partner with this ecosystem so this enterprise can operate on X. And the other half of the partners is fiat providers. So these are people who are gonna buy and sell Neo and gas on the NEX platform. So they have a small portion of NEX tokens, and this is important because the way NEX token works is that you can stake this token.
Yes, I was going to ask you about this.
Yeah, and claim a share of the fees.
Mm-hmm.
So the way these partners they are going to use these tokens is not only as an investment thing. It has a utility today. So if I'm a fiat integrator, I stake my NEX tokens, and from time to time I claim gas and Neo from there, so I can resell on my platform. Yes. So it's a way for me to acquire Neo and gas at market values, or like at mean market values, instead of having to trade OTC.
Right.
If I'm a market maker, I do need a buffer of tokens so I can trade them. Mm-hmm. Again, by being a partner, I have this small buffer that then I can use to do the market making on top.
I see.
So these partners, they do have these small allocations, which is 10% of the total. Is not big, mm-hmm. but they have a utility for them. It's not just investment.
And Fabio, we talked about how you were trying to prevent the whales, essentially, as we've seen in many other ICOs being released, from dominant or monopolize or capitalizing rather on the affordances made when they can buy more than a small chunk. You explain that you're not going to allow that to happen, but we've often seen multiple accounts being created, by various parties in trying to assume, a larger stake. How are you going to stop that kind of thing from happening?
So first, the ICO process is going to have a KYC process. So you need to identify yourself to invest. So the only way to accumulate a lot on the ICO is if you register your own family, whole community, and everybody's buying for you. I don't know if this is legal everywhere.
It does happen occasionally, but you're making it very difficult, which we appreciate.
Yeah. So, but after, it's important to say to you, after NEX token is traded on NEX itself and other places, there will be people who will accumulate it, right? But then they will not accumulate at ICO price. They will accumulate at market price.
Yes.
So by having the NEX token in the hands of much larger pool base of people, we will have better ways to pricing the token itself.
I see. Let's talk about that now with the exchange plan. Do you have any idea about the process that's going to be involved when they hit the exchanges? Firstly, which exchanges you're focusing on?
Yeah, so this is important. So NEX is going to be a security. So we are pursuing this since past year, even before the last regulations that come about, like the FIMA,
the SEC as well,
guidelines, the SEC guideline. So we have been working on that before.
Yep.
And so NEX will be a security, a registered security in Europe. So we cannot be traded on every exchange out there. There need to be an exchange which is registered to trade securities.
So how complex is that in the US, for example?
So we do have a couple launching on mid-year, but none of the exchanges currently does have these licenses. I know that at least a handful of them are, of course, pursuing this license. They want to stay in business, right? So if most of the tokens going to be targeted as securities, then they need to be able to trade securities. So we are trying to be ahead of this schedule.
I see.
Yeah, I would say that across the globe, we're going to see this change of people embracing the security side much more.
That's very interesting because I don't know if you're familiar, but I'm not sure if NEO itself has even been registered as such, and gone through this process. Are you aware of their plans?
Yeah, but I think NEO is kind of not a security because people say about NEO because of gas, right? So, but in reality, gas is one gas from one NEO. So you already, when you own a NEO, you already own a gas. It's just is locked on the blockchain, is released in 22 years. So it's a different thing from NEX, which NEX is saying that we're gonna be giving you a share of the fees.
Yes.
So you're gonna hold NEX to profit from the fees of the system, which happens outside.
Right, and let's talk about that a bit more for the lay audience. In that you are one of these. I have never read of anything of a system whereby you are actually going to reward those who stake and don't use. The ones who lock their coin. You're going to reward them specifically through your fees, through the fees that you can incur from the those who are utilizing the system. Can you tell us a bit about how that's going to happen?
Yeah, so there is a small fee when you are a taker. So when you remove liquidity from the exchange side, you pay a fee. And this fee goes to a pool. And this pool is handled by a smart contract. So you, a holding of NEX token, can send your NEX token to this smart contract, which on the application will be just one click, like stake.
Okay.
And when you put your NEX token in staking mode, it's locked. You cannot buy and sell, send it, but you're gonna receive a portion of the fees collected in a time interval. Okay. So the longer you stake the higher the portion of the fees you get.
I see.
So we want people to put the Next token as investment, so they stake them and keep receiving the fees. And these fees, they are collected on the trade itself. So if I'm trading red pools for the key, then I'm buying the key. So I collect the fee on the key, and then when I stake the Next token, I'm gonna receive the key.
I see. So really, you're getting substantial gains whilst you're interacting and still transacting between one token to another.
Yeah. So
there's such a strong incentive to lock it up.
Yeah. We hope it is. The way it works is that you start collecting all these tokens that are trading on the exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So the Next value itself acts as an index of the exchange.
Yes, and there's, to my knowledge, there's nothing quite like that yet in the world, particularly running from an off-chain.
There is quite. It's not exactly like that, no. But there are some things, some part of this idea out there with KuCoin and COS and a couple others.
Right. Well,
but with the locking mechanism, there's no.
No, and that's a significant thing for incentivizing, those to stabilize. And I think that's the thing we're seeing a lot at the moment, Fabio, is we're seeing a lot of volatility. So clearly one of the objectives is to stabilize your ecosystem.
Yeah, so Next token, we wanted to only rise in price.
Yeah, of course.
And the way you do this is making people avoiding to sell.
I see. That's quite smart right from the outset. And obviously you've been able to observe some of the issues we've seen. If we could talk about now some of the moves for some of the centralized blockchain, centralized exchanges we've talked about or alluded to. Let's talk about some like Binance, for example. Are you aware of any efforts for some of these particular very successful and very lucrative, centralized exchanges to move into this decentralized space? Is there efforts to do that?
Of course, I have not seen any progress, but we have seen announcements, right? We have seen Binance talk about building a decentralized exchange. Just I think a week ago, Bitfinex announced something on EOS, right?
Yes.
But I believe we are ahead of the game there because, for example, EOS is not even running the mainnet, right? So we are building already. So
you're pretty confident. You're pretty confident in that respect.
Yeah, and again, as I said, we are more than a DEX. We are this platform for trading.
Yes.
So even if they are quite successful in building their DEXs, I don't think we're gonna be. They're gonna be competing with us in every part of our product.
Yes, and recently, obviously, the Neo DevCon happened. I saw you present there. That was really, really well done. So congratulations to the entire team. But you also released your demo. So can you tell us a bit about, how important those kind of releases have been?
Oh, yeah. So what we presented on Neo DevCon is the payment side and the extension. And Neo DevCon was a conference for developers.
Right.
So what we wanted to do is show tools for developers. So both the payments processing side and the extension, they are tools for developers. So we're going to release them March 1 so that developers can use it. So it's not a release of Neo Exchange itself, it's a release of tools for developers that is included on the Neo Exchange ecosystem.
I see.
So it was very important for us to actually communicate with developers what we are giving them and what they can build on top of that.
I see. So we talked about the plan for the developers, but what about the time frames for the actual use of the system? What are we looking at in terms of Q1, Q2, Q3?
Yeah, so quite exclusive for you here.
Oh, great. I love those. So great.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
So March 1, we released this beta for developers.
It's March 1.
On March 12, we start registration for KYC.
Wow.
So
that's very soon.
demand has been crazy, so we know that not everybody can participate. So the way they're gonna do this is we're gonna have like a lottery. So from March 12 to March 22, so 10 days, people can register on the lottery. So there's no need to rush. There's 10 days.
Okay.
And then we're gonna do a lottery and get 25,000 people from this pool. These 25,000 people will have 1 week to do KYC. So again, no need to rush. You have 1 week to do KYC. And these KYC people will be participating on the ICO, which happens a couple days after that.
Wow. So you're making it extremely fair, all based on luck.
It is based on luck, but I would say is better than people saying. So on the registration side, you do not need to send me a picture of your passport or anything like that.
Okay.
So I do not want to have your passport and you are not able to invest on the project. It's kind of crazy. And also I don't want to whitelist 40,000 people. Then everybody has 2 seconds to invest, and something happens with their computer, something happens with a server somewhere, then you're lost your chance.
You're giving them time, and you're only going to KYC the recipients who are successful out of the lottery.
Yeah, so everyone who is whitelisted will be able to invest the full first round. So the ICO is going to happen in 2 rounds. The first round is going to be up to $1,000. So everyone who was whitelisted can invest up to $1,000. And again, the first round is going to be running for a full day.
I see.
So you do not need to rush to do your first round investment. You can do during this day. And after that, we're going to have the second round. And then the second round going to have a higher cap of about $9,000. Okay. So total $10,000.
And will they be different people for the second, or will they always be the same people in that lottery?
Will be the same people that win the lottery. Again, if you have your passport, you will be able to invest in that.
I see. If they were lucky enough to be in that lottery and be drawn from that. And then will there be a third round, Fabio?
But I would say to you said to Brad, 25,000 people is a lot of people.
Yes. Yeah, and it's generous of you.
Yeah, and we think that like at least a 50% chance. So if we have more than 50,000 people registering, I will be very happy, of course.
It's very plausible given the popularity of your blockchain, your project. It's very plausible. So let's just say your Telegram is going to be very busy on these times.
We don't have a Telegram.
Okay, well that's good to know for you, because there's going to be a lot of people who, when they do miss out, they're going to be responding because of your popularity. But again, on behalf of those who really support the egalitarian approach, we do applaud you. This has not been done quite as well as what you're proposing. I really sincerely mean that. And also, I'd like to also ask you, can you guarantee that there's going to be no one can access this in any special way? That they don't call you up and say, hey, I've got some sort of, influence, or I've got some sort of special offer, can I get in, behind the scenes?
No, there's no way. So the only people who are going to have more than the public sale cap, they are partners somehow. So they are bringing 3 things. They are bringing liquidity to the system. They are bringing fiat channels, or they are bringing institutional value to the company.
Yep.
So institutional value to the company is also very important, because we have, this is again, I think it's because of the background of the founders. Most of the ICOs we see and the projects we see, they are focus like this in a single project. No, Neon Exchange, the company, do not end after the ICO. We're going to build a platform, we're going to build products, we're going to keep on. So we want to be there for the next 10, 20, 50 years. Okay? So the company should outlast its founders. So these are the only 3 components: institutional investors, fiat providers, and liquidity providers. All the others gonna have the same. So sorry, Brad.
No, I think it's great. No, I honestly think it's great, because to be honest with you, I think there's a lot of people out there, and I'm going to be really forthright and say there are many marketers out there who try and capitalize on this system. I really
Yeah, yes.
sincerely mean that because all of my work I don't charge. It's free. I'll happily say that on screen. But there are many who think that it's okay to negotiate these kinds of free services of information, and then
Well,
it does happen.
I think it's okay if it's mutual. I just wanted that these things would be transparent, right?
Mm.
So that the people watching and the people talking and investing in the projects actually know what's happened
I
behind the
agree,
scenes.
100%. And clearly, you're trying to be very transparent with the whole process, which again, it's really it's great to see. And thank you for letting us know about that is exclusive with the dates, because
Yeah,
many people have wanted to know, and they've been supposing it would be March, and clearly it is. If we
so
get, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so Brad, next week we're gonna do an update on the website that we have all this information so people don't
Okay.
need to go crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so guys, obviously, as Fabio said, make sure you check the website. It's not available until it's up on that. But again, we're definitely all going to be. I'll be on that website, I can tell you. So what next week you say? Next week.
Yeah, so end of next week we're gonna have an update on the website with all this information.
Okay,
Until then, they can look at your video. Yeah.
fantastic. And if we can talk a bit more about Neo and then Ethereum for a moment, because obviously you're going to start with Neo, and you're going to progress through to the ERC20 and actualize, your plan on the Ethereum blockchain ecosystem.
Sure.
When is that going to transition, and in the timeframes?
So we launch on Neo. Neo is very important for us, both from technical side and from business side.
Yep.
And we launch mid-year on Neo. Then end of the year we have the cross chain with Ethereum.
I see. So are you concerned that, from your knowledge, obviously you mentioned the technical side, Neo tends to have a faster throughput, it has, better transactions per second, that sort of thing. Are you concerned that you're going to transition into something we're already running into some problems with its own?
Yeah, so we hope that by end of the year, Ethereum has advanced a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, we are waiting for Casper for more than a year now.
Right. Yeah.
We hope this happened in 2018. I'm not sure, but I would say that NEX will be building infrastructure to talk with slower chains, because we don't see these chains losing popularity and importance on the trading side for some time,
right?
Like Bitcoin itself, right? And so on and so forth. So we will need to build some technical things there to allow people to trade there.
Yes, actually, you beat me to it. I was going to ask you about that, because if I was listening to Ethan explain, and this is what I was going to ask you, is that clearly you're going to look at some sort of centralized components to facilitate the use of Bitcoin.
Yeah, this is important to say. Off-chain does not mean centralized, okay? Mm-hmm. So when you use BitTorrent or Emule, is not a blockchain, right? It's not running the blockchain. So it is off-chain, but it is not centralized itself. Mm-hmm. So NEX starts centralized, but is a distributed system. So there are many components on the system, and they are distributed across nodes. So our vision for the long run is that this will be decentralized also. It will stay off-chain. So it will not run in Neo blockchain, Ethereum blockchain, the betting engine, but it will be decentralizing itself.
I see. Over a period of time.
Yeah, it starts centralized. We iterate in this, but we are building this to be much bigger in the future.
And again, we'll hark back to your banking for a moment. We've talked about very clearly that you're going to establish this banking facility. You've explained that the fiats are part of that, and that there's fiat anchors. When are we going to see the banking elements unfold, though, in terms of a time frame? Because that's obviously down the track.
Yeah, so again, banking is like a fuzzy word. So we are not opening a bank.
No.
What we are doing is we are providing the services that usually people go to bankings for. So thinking about this in yourself, why you use a bank? You use a bank to hold your funds, to pay for stuff, and to do investments.
Right.
This is 999% of the users. Then there's people who use for other stuff, but we are aiming to this. So we're gonna have a funds management, which is starting March. We're gonna have a payment service, which is start right after, and then we're gonna have the investing side, which is participating in ICOs. So like today, you go to Neon Wallet, and you can participate in a token sale.
Yes.
You'll be able to participate in a token sale from inside Nex itself.
I see.
So it's investment side, and you're gonna have the decentralized exchange, so the DEX on the investment side, because you want to trade tokens as investments.
I see. So they're going to roll out pretty quickly.
Yeah. So the banking happens during the lifetime of the platform.
I see.
So our goal is that let's say in a year, people is using Nex and they realize, wait, I hold my funds here, I pay stuff here, and I invest here. So that's what I need to do with my funds. That's it.
I see. That's very interesting. I mean, and again, one thing we noticed, harping back to some partnerships as well, we noticed that recently OneChain announced that it's got a partnership with Kyber. And again, that's your on-chain, decentralized protocol. So are you considering doing anything of similar nature with an on-chain protocol itself and partnering with them specifically?
Yes. In the blockchains that we're gonna operate, we're gonna look for on-chain partners.
And you'll sign with them?
So again, this is like you have specific uses that requires that, and are gonna be so. For example, OTC trading. Mm-hmm. So we want to have a feature for OTC trading, and for OTC trading, we want to do the matching engine on the chain because it's a feature that do not need very fast trading. Mm-hmm. So this we want to be on chain and using protocol partners. Yes. Right.
Well, that's really interesting. I mean, obviously, one of the things you're trying to do is keep like a AAA standard in the way in which you're doing the ICO, and you're going to try and maintain that. And by having that tiered structure as well, you give people access. But when it comes to exchange, at the final point, when those people who weren't successful in the lottery, what can they expect?
Yeah, so they can expect to trade next in the security exchanges that are coming out. So by mid-year, there is going to be many security exchanges launching in. I cannot announce for others, right?
Right.
But yeah, you can expect Nex to trade there, and you can expect Nex to trade on Nex itself.
I see. So will will those who want to exchange and purchase, your Nex tokens, will they have to go to new exchanges that they've never been to?
Yeah, it will be new exchanges. Like 3 months ago, you didn't have KuCoin, and 5 months ago, you didn't have Binance.
Right.
So in 3 months, you're gonna have new stuff also.
I see.
Yeah.
And given that, do you think also, Fabio, that there'll be other, blockchains and projects that follow suit with securities, that come through?
I think like most of the serious projects are gonna go through,
right?
Because Brad, there are two periods on the ICO history. First, there is the innovators, so people who started to doing ICO in the beginning of Ethereum, right? And these guys, they were in a very uncertain field, so there was genuine usage of the ICO mechanism to raise funds and not follow anything because there was no guideline. There was nobody have said anything about that.
No regulation.
Yeah, but after 2017, let's say, entering these years, many regulation bodies have already said something about ICOs. They have already stated their things. So then we started to see projects who do kind of gymnastics.
Yes.
They try to look as a utility when they wanted to be a security, so they can justify not going through the legal process and launch quickly. So it's the belief of Nex that this project is going to have issues because nobody's an idiot, right?
Right, exactly.
There's quite smart guys in the regulation bodies. They are very capable people, so they're gonna look at this project and say, so I believe that, and is a belief of Next, that most of the projects who have tokens that should be a security, they're gonna pursue in be a security.
It's interesting you say that also, Fabio, because I want to broach, recently there was a very important hearing, which you would have known about, that the SEC were heavily involved with in presenting a case to the Commission. And there was a question presented very directly of how many projects, how many specifically blockchain projects were presented and identified as securities in the US. And the response from the SEC president at the time was not one. So arguably, you'll be one of the very first to be recognized in that environment as a security.
Yeah, we are not applying for the SEC right now. So we are launching on Europe first.
I see.
And after we establish a workflow there, we're going to apply everywhere, of course, SEC included. And yes, we're going to be one of the first to go through the proper legal process.
Wow, that's really
exciting.
And
I would say, Brad, we are paying the price for that. So it's taking longer time, is requiring more money. And our lawyers have been amazing, and they are working hard on that. But I would say that by being the first, then others will follow, and the process is going to get easier, right?
I would also say, to that note, that by you being the first, you're in pole position to lead the way, as you said, to this longitudinal plan to be a strong company in the future.
Yeah. We are paying 4 months now to stay on the business for 20 years, right?
Really good point, I think, Fabio. I mean, you've explained so much. There's a lot involved. If I could ask you now, if you want to talk about some of your future plans, particularly with partners, how you're going to build out this ecosystem into future directions, what would you say to that in the next few months to a year?
Sure. So probably you have seen the announcement that we did with Red Pulse.
Yes.
So the way Red Pulse is going to use NEX is to enable its researchers to quickly pay for the research done in Red Pulse in fiat, and also for the researchers to receive in fiat. So the token is quickly exchanged. This is because many of the researchers are not blockchain enthusiasts, right? So I would say that every project who has something like that, like Moonlight, which needs to pay people, and companies to pay people, like Tor, like all these other projects, like Zipping, all these projects on the sharing economy.
Yes.
Yeah, I make here a public invite then to use Next services to allow this, and there's not going to be a fee on that. They're gonna be setting their own fee. So what we want to do is invite more people on the platform. Then, besides the projects that need this connection with the old world, I then would say to everyone who has a wish to establish a business in blockchain, they can start by being a fiat integrator in Next ecosystem. So we are open source. We are giving away the code. You're going to be able to get this code March 1st and launch yourself. We have here in Cambridge, so I live in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Yes.
So right like 400 meters from here, we have a center by the side of MIT, which is called the Cambridge Innovation Center. And we're going to have a meeting there where we're going to teach how to launch this fiat integrator. We plan to stream that, but if you can be in person, is better. So if you are a developer, come see us, participate on this, and launch your own integrator. You can launch it wherever you are. It can be in South Korea, it can be in South Africa, can be in Costa Rica. Yes, we want to see this spread across the globe, and this will also help the NEO system because it's buying and selling NEO and gas. And you're going to learn TAP. I would say for myself, blockchain has been the most rewarding job that you can have in the past years.
Yeah, and coming from you, that means a lot.
I believe for your side also, so you have
Absolutely.
So I would say that this is a great opportunity to start in the ecosystem that's just growing like crazy. So yeah, this is what I would say for the community. So yes, come use our tools. We're gonna give away you this other thing to start your own business, and let's make it happen.
Absolutely. And Fabio, if they wanted to go, those who want to look at the incubators and try and access those from, even at Cambridge, if they want to do something that's a little bit easier for an access point first and go to social media, where can they go to start that the ball rolling?
Yeah, sure. So we have only 3 official channels for NEX. Is the Twitter, Neon Exchange, is the website, neonexchange.org, and is the Medium, Neon Exchange.
Of course.
So where we give the news is in Twitter. Where we describe in details is the website. And where we have technical conversations where we talk about something that we are launching and some partnership we are doing, announcements are made on Medium and retweeted on the Twitter. So follow the Twitter, stay tuned there, and whenever we publish something, there will be links there. And from there, you can go to the website or to the Medium to learn more.
Absolutely. Well, on behalf of all the people who've wanted to know so much about the recent public, the plans, especially the ICO and everything else about it, Fabio, thank you so much for your time. I know that you haven't been well, so even more so I want to thank you for that. It's been a privilege to learn more about the technicalities, but more importantly about the utilities that are going to come into the blockchain space. You are leading you're co-leading rather with your team a very exciting project. We wish you very well in this year and the future years to come with the next project.
Thank you, Brad. I'm sorry for the cold. I have been in too many planes lately. So I think
problem.
This is I got on Asia. But yeah, I'm quite excited. The team is amazing. The community is amazing. I think everyone that joins Neo says that this community is different. It's really different. I'm really proud of the community that we built there. And we are quite excited. We see a long future for NEX.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate your enthusiasm. We appreciate all that you're doing. And until next time, Fabio, thank you so much for your time. And talk to you soon.